I want to thank you for joining me today. And before we get started, as always, all messages that are released on this channel are my truth. And that is exactly what it is and what it always will be. And that is my truth. Now, my truth consists of a bunch of experiences that I gained clarity from, which ultimately took me back to the real me, which is truth. Now, when I try to convince you that my truth is the gospel, however, my truth is the gospel for me. That does not make it the gospel for you, nor will I ever try to make it the gospel for you. By me being on this platform, I am simply placing breadcrumbs on a path that I've already walked. Now, you find yourself on a similar path and you resonate with said breadcrumbs and you say, you know what, I like that. I want to follow that. And that's cool. If not, that is cool as well. My purpose is to assist those who are ready to get out of their own way. So let's get right into it. All right, so figured we can jump back into another little story time here. And this story time is going to be when I was still active duty. So as I said before, I did 20 years in the military, right? And so where I don't know how many years I was in at this point. Well, anyway, I was stationed in Arizona during this time frame, right? Now, during this time frame, I was also going through a divorce. And I just happened to be roommates with with my ex-wife coworker. So we ended up getting along very good and becoming real good friends. So pretty much we would always go out. Like we went out a lot. So, and you didn't see one without the other. So in my mind, like we were thick as thieves, you know what I mean? So like I pretty much let them into my circle, which is rare. I do not allow people into my circle. And you'd think people would recognize that when they are in, because I don't have a lot of friends, and that's because of betrayal. So when I allow people in, like I'm ride or die. Like I'm loyal to a fault. And I had to throughout my life, I had to realize that. And I'm like, and that's what made me pull back on allowing a lot of people into my life because I'm loyal to a fault. And I realized that people take advantage of things. So that's an easy way to get set up is being loyal to a fault. You know, you gotta think like, I'll talk about that another time, but I'm loyal to a fault. So I allowed him into my circle. Now, like I said, in my eyes, we were like very tight. We were cool. Now he ended up betraying me years down the road, but that's why I want to make sure I make that part clear. He ended up betraying me later on down the road. But little did I know, I'm pretty sure he was already on the bandwagon during this time frame as well. Now, prior to me being tested, so like I said, we used to go out all the time. Now, I'll say before the situation happened, a good, I don't know, month, 2 months, I don't know how long it was. It wasn't long at all. He ended up having, introduced me to this new dude, right? And the dude came like out of nowhere, just out of nowhere. Is I want to introduce my home. We went to college together, and then as he telling the story, like my radar was going off. I'm like, this story don't even sound right. I'm like, this sounds fake. I'm like, it never sat right with me, right? I didn't say anything about it. I'm like, all right, whatever. And so we proceed to going out a couple times. Now, probably to make me comfortable with the dude and you know what I'm saying, let me see that he's a cool dude, which he was. He was cool at it, but like I said, my radar, when they was trying to introduce me, that's when it went off. So once I get a feeling, I'm going to keep my eye on you. So, like I said, we never had any issues going out. So we used to go out all the time. And then we used to also hang out at Rocky Point. So Rocky Point is very close to the Mexican border, right? It's just a man-made lake. And so we used to go down there and hang out. And this one particular time, my roommate was like, "Hey, next time we come down here, what we're gonna do? We're just gonna go ahead and stay over here. We're just gonna go ahead and just drive right over the border and go to Mexico and just party." I was like, "All right, cool, no problem with me." So we made plans to do that, right? All right, so now it's getting closer to this time to go to Mexico. Now, prior to us going to Mexico, we have another commander's call. Commander's call is nothing unusual about that. All right, so this particular commander's call, I'm sitting in there and I'm listening to the commander talk about this new rule that we have all of a sudden. So once again, my radar start tingling again. So now they come up with this new rule that if you leave the country, you need to be on leave. Because we found that a lot of people have been getting in trouble in Mexico, and Mexico is out of the country. So if you leave the U.S., you need to be on leave. And so he's saying all this stuff, and I'm like, how the hell are they going to come up with this rule? I was like, this doesn't make any sense. This is not like a worldwide, it's only for us, Arizona, right? I'm like, it just didn't sit right at all. So I'm like, what? This does not make sense at all, right? So I'm like, I am not about to sit up here and burn no dang on leave just to go drive. It was like a little short drive. I don't remember what it was, 2.5, 3 hours, I don't know, a couple hour drive. I'm like, I'm not about to sit here and burn up a couple days leave for that. I'm like, that's crazy. No. So he's sitting there panning around the room the entire time. Now, this is when I became uneasy, is when he got to this particular part. So he's saying it the whole time. He's panning, looking at people the whole time, keeping his head moving. He stops and look at me dead in my eyes when he got to this part. And don't come back up in here on Monday talking about how you didn't know and this, that, and the other, because I'm giving you guys a fair warning now. So, because I will throw the book at you and blah, blah, blah. He's going all along, but he's looking at me. So he's no longer panning. So I'm like, why is he? I was like, does this dude know I'm going to Mexico? I'm like, how would he know I'm going to Mexico? Like, it's not like I'm telling people about this, right? Only me and the roommate knows, and the dude. So I'm like, but he's looking at me the entire time. He was panning, but when he got to that part, he said what he said. Now, for me, I think he did that so he could even bring that up as he would be divvying out that punishment. And I looked you right in your eyes and told, see, then I wouldn't be able to say anything. That's what I believe. He wanted to make that eye contact on purpose so he could bring it up during that meeting, right? So I felt, I'm like, this didn't feel right. Like from that point on, I was uneasy, right? Now, of course I still went. So we go down there, right? I'm uneasy the whole drive, everything, right? So we get dressed, we leave the hotel, and as we're walking out, I swear on everything I love, this is a conversation I had with these fools. I'm like, look, fellas, I still feel uneasy about this trip. I said, we haven't had any trouble going out ever. Please do not make tonight be the night that you decide you want to look for trouble. If you feel you have to fight, I say, I'm gonna need you fools to convince these dudes to get in the car and go over the border. We can fight right over there. I say, we can hop out right over the border. I don't care, but I promise you, I cannot fight in Mexico. No, we good. I was like, all right, just letting y'all know, man, I'm not fighting. I'm not going to get in trouble. All right. So we go in there, and as we walking up these steps, like, first of all, I don't know how many steps. It was a bunch of steps. And these were some steep steps, and the hallway was not wide at all. So it's like steep, and it's like a little slim hallway. And as we're going up, you can see like little blood driplets on, on different steps as you're going up. I'm like, what the hell is this? So we get in. I knew exactly what it was once I walked in. we walk in, you see these three huge bouncers walking around with wooden billy clubs in their hand, right? Like in their hand, not like on their hip. They're already in their hand. Like these cats are ready for action. So I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand. I'm like, so they gonna beat you down, then throw you behind down them doggone steps. So I'm like, okay. I was like, I definitely not get in no trouble up in this mug. So we up in there having a couple drinks. It wasn't busy because we went out kind of early, but the whole entire time, there are bouncers just floating around. It's three of them. The spot is small, but it's three of them. They're just floating around, right, the whole time. So my roommate ended up talking to this one girl, and then it was two other girls that were there. So his friend started talking to one, and I just started talking to the other. So we sitting there chopping up with these girls for a little bit, and one of the girls was like, hey, we want to go smoke. So we went out there to the smoking part with them, which is basically on this little balcony, little area. And so we're out there, and when you come back in, the dance floor is like right there. So we walk back in, and there's two dudes standing right there on the dance floor. And they walk right up to my roommate's friend. It was like, hey, man, why you sitting there talking to my girl? And he's like, oh, man, my bad. I didn't know she had a girl. And he's like, yeah, she got a girl. He's like, my bad. So he proceeds to lift up the beer that he had been sipping on like for I don't know how long. Like, I don't know, as a peace offering, I don't know. And the dude smacks the beer out his hand. Now, right when he smacks the beer out his hand, I'm like, oh, shit. And as soon as I'm thinking, oh, shit, immediately the voice pops in my head. If you fight, you will get kicked out. Calm, clean, just like that. Nothing else. Just how it always is. It says one statement. There is no rebuttals. The statement is the statement. And if you listen, you listen. You don't, you don't. Now, obviously, anytime you fight in any establishment, you getting kicked out. That's a given, right? So the voice is not going to pop up for me to tell me something that I already would have known, right? It was talking about the military, and I felt it in my bones. It was talking about the military. So I'm like, ah, shit. I'm like, I told you. So I'm sitting there trying to think about all this stuff, and then boom, he hits him. So now they're going back and forth. Then the friend jumps in. So I'm like, oh, shit. So now I'm fighting, literally, I'm fighting myself on the inside not to jump in. Because every instinct in me it's like automatic. It is literally automatic. And I had to sit, and it took me a while to even realize this. But I realized that if I am in a situation where it's just me having to defend myself, I will sit there and be patient and calm and do whatever it takes to not get involved. Because like I said, I know me, so I'm not trying to go there. But if it involves a loved one, it's like the program's going to kick in. My protector instincts is automatic, right? But the thing is, it wasn't with him because I've never felt comfortable with him. So I was able to process it a lot easier. Now, had that been somebody I love, it's automatic. It's not even going to be a thing. It's not going to be anything to think about. Like, we have a problem. It's no longer he has, it's we have a problem. You know, now, and I'm so glad that they used him instead of the roommate, because it probably would have been automatic with him as well. Because during that time frame, my mindset was like, we were thick as thieves. Now, much later, he stabbed me in the back, but I'm pretty sure he was already on board with this because it was just way too many things, too many coincidences that lined up for everything to happen the way it did. It was a coincidence that the commander's call happens right before we go on this trip. It's a coincidence that this dude's panning around the room, but he stops when he's talking about punishment, and I don't want to hear anybody making any excuses come back up here on Monday. He's looking at me. It's a coincidence that this dude appears out of nowhere and gives some weak excuse about them being college buddies. It's a coincidence that this dude leaves about a week after this incident. About a week after he left. Now, I never jumped in because I was fighting myself for a couple seconds. Now, as this thing's going on, I'm looking around. I'm looking around. Where's the bouncer? I'm like, there was no bouncers. None. Now, the entire time we in there, they're floating around. 3 of them. They're just floating around. But when something goes down, none of them was in there. Not one. So my thing is, now, without shoes, I'm a little over 6'3". These dudes, what, 5'8", 5'9". So I'm towering over these dudes, right? So my thing is, I believe I was supposed to jump in. And as soon as I jump in, they're watching in the back on the camera. Then they're going to come out with their little billy clubs and give me the business, probably toss me down the steps. I get all beat up and bloodied up, go to jail. Now I got to explain this to the military, and then they're going to do whatever they were going to do. But I believe wholeheartedly, because it's like I said, I do not believe in coincidences. And it was just way too many coincidences from start to finish of that whole entire situation. Like I said, everything was a coincidence. Coincidence that the whole time we were in there, I could see that the bouncers the whole time. But it's a coincidence that they were missing right when the fight breaks out. And not only were they missing, but they like, I'm sitting there looking for, I'm like, where the hell are they at? But as I was watching them, that's what it made me feel like it was a setup, because when I was sitting there, I went from, dang, I got to jump into that. Why are they still standing? Like, why are they? I've never seen a fight where they're like almost like a dust cloud, like how they're just moving gracefully back to the left, to the right, it just looked like they were pulling their punches, right? And it looked weird. I'm like, this, like I'm sitting there processing like it. So then it had me intrigued. So after I'm sitting there looking at this, I'm like, this don't even feel right. And then I was like, well, maybe I should. And then right when I was thinking I should just grab the horse collar the dude, then that's when they finally came from behind me and brushed past me and broke it up and started hitting people with billy clubs. So I was like, so it ended up, and the dude I was with, he ended up getting, I think they hit him like twice, and they hit like a little lump on his head. So I was like, see? I was like, nah. It was just too many things that just didn't add up with that situation. But like I said, I do not believe in coincidences at all. So the moral of this story, I would say, be careful I've said this in other messages, who you allow into your circle. The one thing I will say I noticed about the people who betrayed me in my life, they were all the people who betrayed me in my life, those were the people that I allowed into my circle, right? So, but they always used me to betray me. So the one thing I love hard and I love deep. So they would use that to their advantage. So once again, be careful who you allow into your circle, because everyone you allow into your circle is not there for the right reason. You know, it's sad that I had to discover that there are actually people in the world who will befriend you just so they can learn you, so they can sabotage you. Like, that's sad. Like, that's sad. Like, you live a sad life if you really make friends with people just so you can learn how to sabotage them. That's sad. But people like that exist in the world. So be careful who you allow into your circle. All people aren't bad. Now, you can It might not seem that way. It definitely does not seem that way. But it's because you have individuals in your life that are blocking the good positions. Because we attract what we are. So all those things that I noticed about myself that were allowing these people to do the things they were doing, I had to fix. But that those issues were inside of me. So once I plugged those holes up, there were no more leaks. But I'm going to leave it there. And as always, if you got anything out of this message, I ask you to like, subscribe, and I will definitely check you in the next one.